It is seen?
Yes, doctor.
The screen is seen, no?
Yes, doctor. Screen is visible.
Shall I come out of it?
Yeah. Okay. Sir, good
Yes.
afternoon, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon. Great, sir. Doing great. So we'll do this small mock-up, sir, because this is missed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this thing is now I need to just welcome the participants and welcome you. That is this thing, sir. I will do it, sir. 1 minute. So good evening, everyone. It's indeed my pleasure and privilege to invite all the participants on behalf of MMC Pharmaceutical Limited. It's a Saturday, so everyone would prefer to spend time with your loved ones. But we have seen good number of doctors have logged in because the topic is quite interesting topic. Autoimmune disease. Why are females more doomed? The topic is quite interesting topic. Probably that's the reason that many doctors have logged in spite of their family time, especially on a Saturday evening. So we are quite thankful. The expectations are high, and we are very sure we have a right person to fulfill all the expectation on this pleasant evening with us. MC Pharmaceutical Limited always has been on the forefront to launch a product which are unique in nature. In the sense, it is not me too kind of products. Me too in the sense, what we say is that a product which are common, which everyone has it. Most companies has it. We make an effort. We have a panel of doctors who are advisors, who advises us to launch a product which are meaningfully differentiated from the existing products in the market. That is the reason that our products are a little different. Thank to our panelists who advises us to launch such kind of products. Now we have with us an interesting topic. Along with that, the interesting topic will be presented by able personality. We have Dr. R.K. Sanghavi is with us. Dr. Sanghavi, we welcome you, sir. And we have introduction of I have a responsibility to introduce Dr. Sanghavi, and we have Dr. R.K. Sanghavi is here with us. His introduction needs probably a lot of time because his achievements, especially into the field of nutraceutical, are highly commendable. But most important thing, few things which we wish to highlight. Dr. R.K. Sanghavi has been a panelist for National Formulary of India, which is most important formulary in India, which basically a mother of formulating the medicines, giving and approving, making strategies for holistic strategies today for Indian pharmaceutical industries. So that's an important panel he has been representing there. He's a chairman for Nutraceutical Committee as per IDMA, Indian Drug Manufacturing Association. And that speaks volumes about Dr. R.K. Sanghavi. Chairing a Nutraceutical Committee of IDMA is something is very, very prestigious post, because nutraceuticals in India is not a regulated market in India. But a person like Dr. R.K. Sanghavi has significantly contributed to ensure that the nutraceutical markets are regulated with his enormous experience, with his connect with various pharmaceutical companies, with his global connect with the various pharmaceutical companies. They all significantly contributed to make the nutraceutical committee of IDMA has become very professional committee. He has been also advisor for companies like Abbott Healthcare, Blue Cross, Inventia. There are a few companies to mention. And he has also significantly contributed. Of course, he has been associated. We take often his advice whenever we find the logics of formulations doesn't fall in place, and he gives us the right suggestion, and his suggestion has been quite rewarding to us. In terms, many of the doctors have appreciated the kind of composition we launched in the past. So we are grateful to have him today evening in his busy schedule. He has been continuously attending many meetings in spite of this pandemic. He has been continuously attending meetings. We have requested him. The topic has also been decided by him because he thought it's very, very important subject needs to be addressed. And obviously the topic we also really impressed. Along with all of you, we ourselves, a few of us on behalf of the company, also quite interestingly waiting with a lot of inquisitiveness what is going to be the discussion he is going to have it today evening. So, sir, we welcome you once again. I welcome all the participants on behalf of MC Pharmaceutical Limited on this pleasant evening. And sir, it's all yours. The stage is yours. We are eagerly waiting to have your presentation, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. This topic today, it looks to be quite interesting, and I was always wondering this autoimmune disease, as far as it's concerned, why there are more females whom we see in clinical practice, especially when you talk of females after the age of 40, 45, the proportion is much more as compared to the male patients. So there has to be some sort of a background, We should rationalize or substantiate, or you should say why this particular thing, a reasoning has to be there. So let's look into it. A little bit of technical, a little bit of genetics, but it's very interesting. And once we are able to slowly understand the genetic basis, we'll be able to exactly be able to understand how to place these patients and how best in a way to manage such patients much more appropriately, especially with the nutraceuticals that are now available. We could have a preventive advantage, or people of those patients who are prone or more susceptible at a later age to have such problem. So I have been talking on the autoimmune disease in the last session also. So let me have a quick glance at a lot of diseases that we have in the country. And if you look at the various problems that we have, autoimmune disease is not less. I mean, there are 12 crore Indians who are suffering. Look at the nutritional problems, infection problems, non-communicable diseases. So autoimmune disease doesn't lag much behind. So it is a significant issue as far as this disease is concerned in India. Now, let us look at a little bit of basics. Now, what are these defense cells that we have? Now, when we talk of immunity and body defenses, we are talking of two places, the blood and the tissues. As far as the blood is concerned, we have the dendritic cells, Now, dendritic cells mean they are the sentinel cells or the guards. As something enters the blood, the first cell to go and approach will be the dendritic cell, just like a watchman. Then, of course, we have the lymphocytes, monocytes, and the neutrophils, which we all know are the most important for phagocytosis. So these are the four cells which matter as far as blood is concerned. In tissues also, we have the dendritic cells, but what we have in dendritic tissues are the macrophages. The macrophages in the tissues, along with the neutrophils and monocytes, are the first cell which are going to have the action as far as the antigen is concerned or some pathogen is concerned. So they are the partners in crime. If we recollect, the monocyte migration into tissues converts them into macrophages. So there is a close link between monocytes and macrophages. So autoimmune diseases are present, especially in women, as we said, and the prevalence rate, surprisingly, female to male is 2:1. So this shows the predominance in female as far as this problem is concerned. Now, these are the various autoimmune diseases, and you look at this particular ratios, they are much more than 2:1. So this is the only place you got a ratio of 1:1, like psoriasis, and we all know since our medical college days that ankylosing spondylitis is more prevalent in the males who are younger in age. But that is 2:1, okay? But everywhere else it's the female dominant. It should be 1:2. There's a mistake over here on my side. Now, what are the real factors which are actually going to be responsible for this problem? So we have the genetic factors. Then we have immune response regulation problem. and we have the triggering factors as far as the environment is concerned. So let us take these factors one by one. So first we'll talk about the genetic factors. So in this genetic factors, let us see what are the various components. Now there are two things which have been responsible for this problem. One is a process called microchimerism. It is called fetal microchimerism, which we'll see later on. Second is there is a problem in a gene, which is FOXP3 gene, which is a defective gene. So there are two responsible factors as far as the genetic portion is concerned. Why females are more prone or why females are more susceptible. One is fetal microchimerism and one is a defective gene, which is specifically FOXP3 gene as far as females are concerned. Now let's go into this fetal microchimerism. Now what is microchimerism? Microchimerism means that there is a small amount of cells and the DNA which is present inside, okay, which is going to go from the fetus to the mother. So during the pregnancy, this particular DNA gets from the fetus into the mother's body. That process is called fetal microchimerism. Now this word microchimerism is derived from the word chimera, which is a monster which is there in the Greek mythology, and that is supposed to be described as having a part of lion and a part of goat and a dragon all combined put together. So this particular is the monster, chimera, on which this particular word microchimerism is based. So fetal microchimerism, as I've said, means there has been some transfer of cells and the DNA from the fetus to the mother during this particular pregnancy. And this particular transfer which has occurred is likely to remain even after the pregnancy. Now, this was first reported way back in 1977, but the exchange has been known to be occurring for 93 million years, not only in humans, but also in other species of life also. Now, it is said that this particular fetal microchimerism, where the cells and DNA go, is like a souvenir given by the child to the mother for giving birth. So you are giving birth, you're going to nourish that fetus for 9 months. The souvenir given is by the fetus in exchange. So this particular thing which occurs is going to occur in the blastocyst stage, which occurs around the 5th or the 6th day post fertilization. So this is the time this particular chimerism process starts actually. Now, interestingly, it is not only fetus to mother, it can also be from mother to fetus. So if the particular cells flow from the mother to the fetus, it is maternal microchimerism. But it is more of fetus to mother rather than the other way around. Surprisingly, it is also demonstrated that whatever DNA has gone from the fetus to the mother and remained back in the mother, in the subsequent pregnancy, that same DNA of the earlier child from the mother can go back to the second fetus. That means when we talk of, the children having blood relationship, this looks to be the likely link. That you are getting some DNA from your older sibling also. This is just to show you that how this particular thing occurs. So this is when you get that microchimerism starting is on the day 5 when it is the blastocyst stage. Then it's a very interesting thing to understand that whenever we have a mother who is pregnant, in earlier times it was the number of pregnancies determined how successful was the motherhood. So the mother had multiple pregnancies and she would like to conserve whatever is the resources and not give to one child alone. Otherwise, she will not be able to give the enough nutrition for the subsequent pregnancies. Now, this particular thing, as far as the child is concerned, it's a different interest. The child feels that it would like to take the maximum amount of possible nutrient from the mother so that the child has a healthy childhood and can survive up to adulthood. So the child sends the fetal cells into the mother's tissue, like the fetal cells will go to the breast or the brain, increase the level of prolactin, so more milk is available, go and settle in the thyroid gland, more it is produced. So this is how the child will try to get the best out of the pregnancy. Yes. Now experts believe that this is not an uncommon thing. Fetal microcephaly is quite common. It's not everyone has it, but it is very common. Now, is it beneficial or is it going to be harmful? Now there are lots of reasons why this particular fetal microorganism would have beneficial effects. But one of the most important things which we are concerned is the result of this is hyperimmunity, which has been passed on to the mother. Now, when you talk of fetal microchimerism, the DNA, when they go to the mother, it's like giving stem cells to the mother. And when you give stem cells, you know what happens is the organ is regenerated. So when the organ is regenerated, then there is a longevity. Now, if there is a female who is getting older day by day, year by day, and as the organs are degenerating. So this particular cells which have gone over there, they are going to help in the or recovery of that degenerated part. So longevity is assured. So there are both positive and negative as far as microchimerism the effects are there. Now, even if you have a male fetus, you can get Y chromosome detected in the mother. They say, therefore, you have a male child, 63% of the mothers will have a Y chromosome detectable. So this confirms that microchimerism occurs from the fetus to the mother. Now, these fetal cells are not going to clear off very soon after pregnancy. So this starts a now, because of this tug of war, there is going to be an immune response elicited by the mother. Now, this can persist for as much as 43 years after the pregnancy. And when this persists for a longer time, this is how these mothers are now getting an autoimmune disease just because of the pregnancy, just because of the fetal microchimerism. So now if you look at how it occurs, is 10% of the free DNA of mother's blood is from the fetus. And by 7 weeks, nearly all pregnancies have DNA trafficking. So by 7 weeks, DNA has gone from the fetus to the mother in most of the pregnancies. When the DNA enters into the mother, it is going to be sensed by particular molecules inside the cells of macrophages of the tissues, which are called sting molecules. Now, normally when the DNA is sensed as coming from outside, there have to be enzymes to destroy the DNA. So we have DNase2 and DNase3. Now, this particular enzymes have been found to be deficient in those patients who are having autoimmune disease. So one of the reasons why there is autoimmune disease is because there is a deficiency of the enzyme. They could not clear the DNA which entered from the fetus. And that is the reason this particular female's body reacted. there was an inflammatory process and the autoimmunity was triggered. And that is how autoimmune disease is a result of the fetal microchimerism. Now, I have just shown you the cells. Now, one of the most important cells in the whole process are the lymphocytes. Now, these lymphocytes, if you look, they are of two types. The B cells, which are the small lymphocytes, and in this particular small lymphocytes, you have the plasma cells, which produce the antibody, and you have the memory cells, which are responsible for the long-term memory. In addition to small lymphocytes, you have the large lymphocytes. Now, these large lymphocytes have been categorized on the basis of the marker called CD. Now, there are 370 CD markers. For us, what is important is CD4 and CD8. Now, when you talk of CD4, from the CD4 type which you get, you have two cells. One is the TREG cells, which are important for immunity, and one is the helper cells. Now, what is the helper cells segregate into? The helper cells are of, again, Th1, which is important for causing inflammation, Th2, which prevents or tries to take care of whatever is inflammation which has occurred, and Th17, which causes autoimmune disease. And this Th17 autoimmune disease is countered by the TREG cells. So TREG cells are very, very, very important. Now, memory Th cells are made. Now, then we have the CD8, in which you have the cytotoxic T cells, and you have memory T cells. Now, when the cytotoxic T cells go and attack, 95% have been destroyed, 5% remain back as memory T cells. So when you get your coronavirus inside, the T cells which attack are the cytotoxic T cells, but the 5% remain inside as the memory cells for another attack they would like to be activated. In addition, we have the NK cells. Now, NK cells already we know are also CD8, and cytotoxic T cells are also CD8. The difference is the natural killer cells can kill without there being any antigen coming and trying to trigger it. But cytotoxic T cells require an antigen to trigger it. So this is the difference between natural killer cells and cytotoxic cells. Now, normally the TREG cells are made in the thymus. And we all know the thymus will be absolutely involuted by the time you have puberty. But in the adults also, we can have certain TREG cells which are going to be present. They are manufactured. So these T cells, you have the regulatory T cells, the helper cells, the natural killer and the cytotoxic T cells. Now from the helper cells, whenever there's an antigen exposure, you get Th17, Th1 and Th2 type of cells differentiation. Th1 will recruit the neutrophils, macrophages, killer cells and cause inflammation. Th2 are going to try and heal whatever inflammation has occurred. They have anti-inflammatory cytokines. Th17 produce antibodies and they are going to start the autoimmune disease. So now we have two mechanisms. One is the TREG cells, which tackles the autoimmune disease, and the natural killer cells will kill the pathogen and help in the healing process. So this is how it happens. Now 5 to 15% of the CD4 cells are the TREG cells, and TREG cells are the most important for preventing autoimmune disease. They have an indispensable role to play and they are supposed to be the most important for our body. Now let us see how these TREG cells are affected and they are upset. Now we have certain genes called as FOX genes, which are very important for lots of functions. and we have 40 types of FOX genes. The most important we have is the FOXP3 gene, which is important for us. And this FOXP3 gene was discovered in a particular mouse called as scurvy mouse, which was found to have less number of TREC cells. And that is how this FOXP3 gene is the one which is named for the gene which is defective and responsible for not allowing the TREC cell manufacturing to occur. Now, when you talk of the FOXP3 gene, what happens? We have a cell. In the cell, we have the nucleus. In the nucleus, we have the chromosome. Inside the chromosome, we have DNA. And in the short arm and the long arm, in the short arm of this DNA, we have this particular gene. That is a FOXP3 gene. So this is most specifically present in TREC cells, and this is most important for TREC cells to be made available. Because without the FOXP3 gene, TREC cells will be defective and they may be insufficient, and they are the causative. Now, what does FOXP3 gene do? It actually is going to make another transcription factor called as FOXP3 transcription factor. And what does this transcription factor do? It's a protein which transfers the information from the DNA where the genes are present to the messenger RNA. And what does the messenger RNA do? They will convert the T cells to TREC cells. So without this particular RNA, without that particular gene and the transcription factor, the TREC cells cannot be made from the T cells. So this is very important. Now we have seen that in the male, we have the X and the Y chromosome, and the female, we have two X chromosomes. Now this particular genes which are present, the FOXP3 gene, the problem is that if there is some defect in the gene, some genetic problem, then the TREC cells are not produced properly. We land up in a problem of autoimmune disease. So this is the particular DNA. Now, how does this DNA get affected? So the DNA mutation will occur. The FOXP3 gene is mutated. So there is a defect in the sequence of the amino acid. If there is a problem of the mutation, then you have defective TRECs. Why defective TRECs? Is because this impaired CD FOXP3 TREC cells are formed because there was a change in the amino acid sequence of the DNA. Now, because that particular TREC cells are defective, the RNA is going to be unstable. And why is the RNA stable? Because the transcription factor, the FOXP3-TF, is reduced by 90%. So when you have an unstable RNA, you land up with an autoimmune disease. And when we land up with an autoimmune disease, whatever is the healing which occurs in any damage, in inflammation because of autoimmune disease, is because of IL-10 cytokine. In autoimmune disease, there is less secretion of IL-10 because of all this process. So the damage continues and the autoimmune disease persists. There is no healing occurring. So these T cells which are going to be converted to TREC cells normally occurs in the thymus. And how does it occur in the thymus? Because of the FOXP3 gene. Now this particular gene converts the thymocytes to the TREC cells. And when the thymocytes are transformed to TREC cells, the thymocytes die away. Now these thymocytes which are converted to TREC cells are present inside the thymus. And when the T cell has been attacked by an antigen, so the receptor senses the antigen, there is a signal given to the TREC cells which were present inside the thymus to come out. So the thymus TREC cells comes out in the periphery. So this is called the periphery TREC cells. And this peripheral TREC cells, because of the gene which is normal will make the normal quantity of the transcription factor. As a result, we'll have normal messenger RNA working. Because of that, IL-10 is made. And because of that, the Th2 cells are activated. And whatever is the inflammation and autoimmune disease because of Th1 and Th17, this is negated by the Th2. Now, if there is any problem of this particular TREC cells, what happens is the gene is lost. So you have defective TREC cells. And if you have defective TREC cells, messenger RNA is unstable. And if that is so, IL-10 is less and there is a disbalance. And whenever there is a disbalance, we'll end up in an autoimmune disease. Why should this occur in some and why should it not occur in others? Because there are factors. There are cytokines which are mediating. This particular IL-2 and TGF-beta is important for the formation of TREC cells, for the activation of the gene. And the IL-4, IL-6 and the IL-12 are going to be problematic. They are supposed to be damaging this particular gene. So there are cytokines which are important, which have a role to play in this process when it occurs. So FOXP3 is an immunity regulator. It's a master regulator in the development as well as the functioning of TREC cells. Now this FOXP3 transcription factor binds to 700 genes. Now why does it bind to 700 genes? Because you can see that when you have the FOXP3 transcription factor, it stimulates the secretion of IL-10 by messenger RNA. It has to make sure the Th2 cells make more of protection and Th1 cells are making less of problem. So all that regulation has to occur. And for that, all the regulation to occur, 700 genes are involved. And to make sure everything occurs properly, the FOXP3 transcription factor gives a message to 700 genes. And that is why it is very important. Now, woman has two X chromosomes. We have one X and one Y in the male. Now, in the X chromosomes, there are thousands of genes. In the Y, there are 100 genes. So there is a discrepancy. And that is why when you say FOXP3 transcription factor binds to 7 genes, we can imagine that it is required because these thousands of genes which are present have a lot of interplay as far as immunity is concerned. Now, look at the 2X chromosome as far as women are concerned. 1X comes from father and 1 comes from mother. Both are active. Now, you cannot have genes which are duplicate in the body. So one particular set of genes has to be deleted. We have to delete one because you got 1X coming from mother, 1X coming from father. Now, normal, the inactivation occurs in the ratio of 50 to 50. So randomized destruction from mother and father. So 50% from mother, 50% of father. But what happens is there is an attempt made that whichever is the normal gene is actually retained and whichever is the one which is faulty from the duplicate gene, that is removed. So this is a very important thing about the body. So this particular risk of defective or mutated FOXP3 gene is that being retained is minimized. But it is possible that maybe 10 to 15% of the duplicate genes may have escaped the inactivation. They don't go to the thymus, they just escape somehow. And when they escape, and if some of the escape genes are inactive, then we land up in an autoimmune disease. So this is what happens. We have this particular genes, okay, which are now going to be duplicate here. So when you have duplicate, you remove one from here and you remove the other one from here. But maybe there can be sometimes removal of the same gene from both the mother side. Now this is called skewed inactivation. You had 50-50 distribution. Now this distribution could become skewed. Now what is the meaning of skewed? Now skewed means that instead of having 50% of genes from mother destroyed and 50% of father destroyed, you can have inactivation in the ratio of 80:20. Now they say that if it is more than 80:20 skewing, then there is a risk of autoimmune disease. And about 7% of the women have a skewed ratio of 90:10. And that is why we have 10% incidence of autoimmune disease as far as women are concerned. So this is another thing, that we have a problem of infection, which is actually going to kickstart the autoimmune disease. So we have the pathogen or the antigen which first invades, then the cell and the tissue which is affected has macrophages. These macrophages are going to tackle this particular pathogen antigen. Then that will enter the blood, where the dendritic cells will attack. Then they will activate T cells, they will activate B cells, and you have immunoglobulins which are coming in the picture. Now this particular cells, they make an enzyme called caspases. Why the caspases are made? Because whatever is the pathogens which are killed, they are all waste products, and whatever cells which are fighting, they are also destroyed. So this is called apoptotic waste product. Every day, there are quite a number of millions of our cells which are destroyed, which are also making a part of the waste basket, waste paper basket. And these enzymes, caspases, are very important to remove the waste, empty that waste paper basket. Now, this FOXP3 gene increases this enzyme. So this FOXP3 gene, if it is present, the enzyme is increased. Whatever fight has occurred, whatever waste products are occurred, they are all perfectly eliminated. If the problem is there, you have a defective gene, as we have seen in many women, then these caspases are less. And if the caspases enzymes are less, we have less elimination of the waste. Now you have a defective TREC cells, and we have less elimination of the waste. Now what happens is, because of the elimination of waste is less, then you have inflammation, which is going to be end result. And when the inflammation occurs, you cannot take care of that particular inflammation and the autoimmunity, because the TREC cells are already defective. And this is the reason why we have the autoimmune disease whenever we have a defective or a dysregulated gene in the X chromosome. So two things has occurred. One is fetal microchimerism, and one is this particular gene being defective, which leads to autoimmune disease. So more antibodies, more of inflammatory cytokines, they cause the autoimmune disease. So this duplicate gene inactivation occurs in the thymus. Now, if for any reason the internal milieu of the thymus is changed, then this thymus is not able to inactivate properly. So basically, that internal milieu of thymus is important, and that is the reason, if it is not proper, this particular genes will not be properly inactivated, and a faulty FOXP3 gene will escape inactivation. And if the normal and the faulty genes are both present, it is very interesting to note, the normal gene will go into the other cells, but the faulty FOXP3 gene always goes in the Treg cells. So Treg cells are the ones which bear the brunt of the problem. So when we say 90:10, okay, so there is duplicate of gene. So maybe duplicate you have normal and faulty both. So normal will go to the other cells, but the faulty gene has a selective distribution only in the Treg cells. So this is a big problem as far as female is concerned. So we talked about the genetic factors. Let us see what are the other factors. This was one of the main things where we spend most of the time. The other factors are not that complex. So we have other things which are going to help us or going to cause a problem in the immune response dysregulation. One is the hormones. If you have abnormal levels, then there are immune cells and cytokines where there is a disbalance, and the aging process when the immunity is not going to be proper. So these are three factors which also are responsible. Now, why women are more prone? Now, as far as women are more prone, in the women, the estrogen levels are going to become low in menopause. And when they become low in menopause, the inflammatory cytokines are going to be more. Testosterone levels are normally less in females as compared to males. And lesser the testosterone levels, lesser is the healing IL-10. So you have a condition in the females who are elderly after menopause in the 40s, you have low estrogen, more inflammatory cytokines, less healing because of less IL-10. Even the prolactin levels are high, they are going to activate the B cells to make more of IgG. So antibody formation also becomes more. So these are all the contributory factors as far as hormone is concerned. Now look at the cells. They say if you look at male versus female, the number of Treg cells are lesser in females. Also, you look at male versus female, the phagocytic activity is more in females as compared to males. Now what happens is you have greater activity of phagocytes, so more damage. More damage and you have lesser Treg cells, so you cannot do something to negate that problem. So this is one thing. Now cytokine dysregulation. Whenever we talk of female versus male, the females produce more inflammatory cytokines. So suppose there is one virus which has attacked a female and one virus has attacked a male. The female can make 5 cytokines, male will make only 2 cytokines. So we have dysregulation. Females make more of inflammatory cytokines. Even the levels of antibodies in the females are more as compared to the males. In fact, there was a COVID situation where the husband and wife were both positive. The wife, the antibodies estimated were 5,000 after the attack. The husband has 2,500 after the attack in one of my patients. And this is a fact. Now we go into how immune dysregulation can occur because of the aging process. So because of aging, we have immune dysregulation. More autoantibodies are produced. Immune response is increased. More inflammation occurs. Because of more inflammation, there are more free radicals, more oxygen species which are liberated, and that causes autoimmune disease. So this is what occurs typically as far as females are concerned when we talk of elderly females and the aging. Now it is said that normally the CD4-CD8 ratio is 2:1. But in the elderly, the CD4-CD8 ratio is reversed. So more of inflammatory process and less of protective processes. So this is very important. And this is especially the reason why women have a greater chronic and persistent low-grade pro-inflammatory status. One of the last factors is the environmental triggering factors. Now, these factors could be of three types. These are the ones which are going to be very important as far as there are chemical factors, there are physical factors, and there are biological factors. Now, in talk of chemical factors, the pesticides which are there, they have more likelihood to cause autoimmune disease in the female as compared to males. Cosmetics are used more by females, so more risk. And if you have a male smoker and a female smoker, the female smoker will have more risk of autoimmune disease than the male. Why? Data is not available, but this has been documented. Ionizing radiation from X-rays and CT scans also can make risk of more autoimmune disease in females as compared to male. Interestingly, fiber is very important raw material for the nutrition of the commensals. And if fiber is given to male and female, the fiber will more likely be beneficial to male in restoring the normal gut flora than the females. And because of this, dysbiosis is more prevalent in females. And dysbiosis is an additional factor for autoimmune disease. So what has to be the outcome of this? How do we tackle it? So we have some particular natural approaches. One of the product which has been currently available is a designer product for the females, which has all the ingredients which are required and all the ingredients in the right proportions which are necessary for the benefit to accrue. So you have the calcium ascorbate, which also gives you vitamin C, the EGCG, which comes from green tea extract, beta-glucan, Nigella sativa are your cumin seeds, ginger is your, you know ginger very well. Then zinc should be in the form of acetate, and selenium should be in the form of selenomethionine. Why? Because when you talk of zinc, the acetate is the one which has antiviral property, anti-inflammatory property, and healing properties, which is going to be, suppose 100 for acetate, it will be 30 to 70 for gluconate and 0 for sulfate. So when we take zinc, it should be always preferably taken as an acetate salt. Selenium, if you take a selenomethionine, it is more bioavailable rather than selenium dioxide. And this is the way the product has been conceptualized and designed. So let us see how the various ingredients of the product are going to give the benefits for each of the factors that we discussed. So as far as the genetic factors are concerned, the fetal microchimerism and defective FOXP3. Now, if you look at this particular factors, for the fetal microchimerism, selenium, zinc acetate, and EGCG are important. Selenium stimulates the FOXP3 gene. Zinc acetate facilitates formation of Treg cells. And this actually balances the TH1, TH17 versus TH2. So this is how this will benefit. When you have a defective, when you have a defective FOXP3 gene, there are certain chemicals which cause the defect. You have IL-4, which can be taken care of by beta-glucan. You have IL-6, which could be reduced by EGCG. And even IL-12 can be negated by Nigella sativa. So these are some of the ingredients which are going to be very important to have these ingredients at the beginning when you're planning a pregnancy, maybe the genetic defect or genetic component could be minimized. Now let's look at the immune response dysregulation. So we have three factors here: abnormal hormonal levels, immune cells and cytokine disbalance, and immunosenescence. If you look at abnormal hormonal levels, low estrogen which are there can be balanced by EGCG. Low testosterone is supposed to be having low IL-10, but you can negate that by giving zinc acetate, because zinc acetate can increase IL-10. So you can take care of that. High levels of prolactin are also problematic, and vitamin C is very important to check the differentiation of T cells to B cells. It will regulate it. It will not allow too many B cells to be formed out of the T cells. Immunosenescence. Normally, they say 80% of the aging-related diseases are because of free radicals. ROS means reacting oxygen species. Both free radicals and ROS are responsible for oxidative stress. Now, if we want to have something to tackle the oxidative stress, we have vitamin C, full quantities, zinc as acetate, and selenium in the product. Now, in addition, all the pro-inflammatory cytokines, it is NLRP3, which manufactures IL-1 beta. IL-6 is supposed to be causing, along with TNF alpha, the cytokine storm. So we have ingredients for that also. IL-18 and IL-17, they are more important for causing hyperimmunity. So we have ingredients for that. So all these particular cytokines are decreased by EGCG, Nigella sativa, zinc officinale, which are all, and zinc acetate, which are all present in the product. Even the anti-inflammatory cytokines, IL-4, which is important for healing, TGF-beta. Now, TGF-beta and IL-10 have a very important role. Now, macrophages in our body are of two types, M1 and M2. M1 are the ones which cause inflammation. M2 are the ones which cause repair after inflammatory process has died down. So M1 have to be converted to M2. So after the problem is solved, we have to get M2 so the repair can occur. So we have the ingredients, vitamin C, zinc acetate, which can convert the M1 to M2. So healing occurs properly. Another thing important is, of course, the Treg cells. We want to increase Treg cells, so we are able to take care of any immunity issue. And zinc acetate and selenium are very important. We also know every inflammation, we have a marker, CRP. Now, CRP is very famous in this COVID times. EGCG can decrease this particular CRP. Normally, after the problem is solved, the CRP tends to remain high for a longer time. So EGCG can decrease the CRP. The last benefit are the physical, chemical, and the biological causes. Now, you talk of chemicals. Normally, the chemicals are going to cause a problem because they make too much of free radicals and ROS. Now, in this product, vitamin C is a very important protection for all the cells and the blood, because the cells contain water and the blood is 90% water. So all the cells, cytoplasm has water, blood has water. Vitamin C being aqueous is very important to provide protection against free radicals. Now we have three enzymes in the body. We have superoxide dismutase, we have catalase, and we have glutathione peroxidase. God has given us these three enzymes. And if these three enzymes have to work properly, we require zinc and we require selenium, which is there in the product. So we increase the concentrations of all the three enzymes which are required to fight the free radicals, because the tissues are attacked and the enzymes are present in the tissues. Smoking is known to actually reduce vitamin C in the lungs, and that is one of the reasons they say why the free radicals attack and cause cancer of lungs. So everybody who smokes should be taking vitamin C if you want to have some preventive or some protective benefit, just like everybody who takes alcohol would like to take some sort of a N52 or some tablet like that. So you take vitamin C for smoking, and vitamin C is available here. Ionizing radiation, which comes from X-rays and CT scans. Again, they are the ones which cause problem because of free radicals. And the same benefits again occur. I never knew, but they say that each day there are 10,000 oxidative hits to our DNA, to each cell of the body. And when we have done one CT, this 10,000 oxidative hits becomes 1 lakh hits per cell per day for 10 days. So if we want protection, we could take this particular product because this product has been beneficial. Last important benefit of this product is as far as dysbiosis is concerned. It is very interesting to note that zinc acetate and vitamin C strengthen the gut barrier. And because of that, we are able to make sure that all the toxins which are coming from food and medicines do not enter the blood. Selenium actually has a symbiotic relationship with the commensals. Now, whenever we take selenium, I never knew that our commensals, the normal flora, convert it to selenomethionine, and we are providing selenomethionine directly. So there is a important reason, and if we have less selenium, then this commensals will take the selenium from the blood and use it. So we require selenium. Nigella sativa is also very important for checking the E. coli. E. coli is pathogenic. So it checks the E. coli and doesn't allow the normal flora to be disturbed. One of the most important ingredients is beta-glucan. Now it is said that I told you that fiber is supposed to be broken down so as to provide the nutrient for the commensals. Now, who breaks down the fiber? One of the bacteria which breaks down is Prevotella. And this Prevotella is a part of the commensal. And when we take beta-glucan, this Prevotella species is increased. So fiber which is there in the diet of food will be hydrolyzed and adequate nutrition to maintain our gut commensals. This is very important. The gut flora is maintained. Also, the beta-glucan actually reaches the small intestine ending and the colon unchanged, where it is broken into short chain fatty acids. And these short chain fatty acids provide the energy to the commensals and provide the energy to the cells of the colon, so they remain tight and the barrier remains strengthened. So especially if designed for females, Autoimmune, recommended to support immunity for immunodeficiencies, compromised immunity, SARS-CoV, and to regulate immunity, autoimmune diseases, to balance the defenses, adjunct to drug therapies, and also as an adjunct along with the SARS-CoV prophylaxis, who are having patients who are having the COVID plus autoimmune disease. You can give a balance. You can decrease the autoimmune problem. At the same time, you can give some sort of ingredients So the immunity is not upset. Thank you.
Mr. Namay, can I put a question to doctor?
Yeah.
Doctor, it was a wonderful session and great learning, sir, from you, particularly aspects related to FOX P3 gene and also microhemorrhagism, how it contributes to AIT, doctor. It was great learning. Thank you, doctor. One important aspect which I can say is that, about zinc supplementation, we were not aware of the intricacy of zinc supplementation, that the doctor was so emphatic on zinc acetate rather than going for a zinc sulfate. But no, my question is to the doctor.
Yeah.
If we look into the market, with zinc sulfate, not the zinc acetate. So, going by your deliberation, we are in for a disruptive change as far as the zinc market is concerned. Is it right, doctor? We are the first pioneers in providing zinc acetate.
Yeah, let me emphasize again that when you give zinc, you are giving zinc for two things.
Okay.
One is to replenish the zinc as a mineral for deficiency. And secondly, what we are doing is zinc has 3 or 4 other activities. One is anti-inflammatory, one is antiviral, and one is anti-allergic. Now these 4 activities are measured on the basis of a factor called ZIA, zinc ionic activity. So zinc ionic activity of zinc is 100. For gluconate it is 30 to 70. And for sulfate it is 0. Now what has happened in our country? Zinc for viral diarrhea. But they never thought that everybody would market any salt. And zinc sulfate is available freely. So one company started, 10 companies followed, 100 companies followed. So all doctors are exposed to zinc sulfate. So it is like uphill fight to make zinc acetate is better for our patients.
Great, sir.
Thank you.
So one more question which can I put across?
Yes.
Doctor, during your presentation, it occurs almost all the women who are to child. But you are saying that the prevalence of autoimmune disease is 7%.
Yeah.
Am I clear, doctor?
Yeah, 7%. No? Yeah.
My feeling is that the microhemorrhagism to all the women who give birth. But why is it affects only 7%?
Microcamera. Okay. So autoimmune disease is approximately about 70% of the female. I think I just give the figures if I'm not mistaken. It's quite prevalent. Microchimerism is very prevalent. Now, if the female has got microchimerism and the reaction of the body is not more because of whatever Treg cells they have, you may have microchimerism, but if your Treg cells are not defective, they are able to keep it in check. Now you have a scenario where microchimerism is more or Treg cells are less or both are a problem, then you land up with autoimmune disease.
Fine, doctor.
Dr. Stanley, we can carry on with the question and answers with the doctor.
Yes. So thank you, sir. It is a very interesting presentation. So it is very difficult to bring together all this information and clarify. You have covered all the aspects of why females are suffering from autoimmune disorders. So I have some questions on behalf of other colleagues. Sir, can we start this nutritional supplement in a pregnant mother? Or how long we can continue this? Because you have highlighted that microchimerism, the problem started when the mother is exposed to the fetal antigens. So if the clinician wants to start this supplementation in pregnant mother, so is it safe to start, or if we can give, how long we can give?
So now there is a little bit of a medical dilemma, because we normally don't give anything except, folic acid in the first trimester.
Yes.
Correct. But then there are exceptions. When we have severe anemia, we also give iron in the first trimester, because
Yes.
there is a problem. Now, if there is a female who has autoimmune disease, or there is a strong family history or whatever it is, then it will be worthwhile doing this so as to prevent it,
Yes, sir.
something like that. Maybe it may not be easy for us to advocate that every female should take it, because as Dr. Suresh said, that only 10% get it. But if there is a strong tendency in the family or in the siblings or somewhere else, there's a history, then it is possible if you give it, you could take care of certain genetic modifications also.
Yes, sir. So for my explanation, the pregnant mother who are having many risk factors and who are more susceptible to develop autoimmune disorders, we can use this.
I agree.
Yes, yes, thank you. So then another thing is, in the middle-aged women, the most common autoimmune disorder is rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
So how this product can help in them?
No, I think this is a great product to start for all middle-aged women. Because, middle age is the most susceptible period for autoimmune disease.
Yes.
And they land up with something or the other. Rheumatoid arthritis is more frequent. So we see more of that. But others also start off, You get a vasculitis, etc., all starting off a little later.
Yes.
So I would say it is a great product to start before you touch your 40s, so that you are able to minimize this risk.
Yes, sir. So as you told, the hormone imbalance and other factors, environmental factors, which can get piled up when there is aging.
Absolutely.
So when we start in the middle age, it can benefit against many of the immune-based disorders.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And also, it is very interesting to know how infection can aggravate even the post-COVID. Also, it can aggravate the autoimmune disorders. According to recent publication, you also have explained that hypothesis, how that post-infective. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And I would encourage the audience also can put forward some questions in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask, so that we can have a good session on discussion.
One more, doctor, can I put one more question?
Yeah, sure. Most welcome.
Sir, in AAD, if at all you single out a marker that this woman is prone to get a AAD, which will be the immune marker, doctor? Because you had a range of markers starting from IL-10, then CRP, all those things. Which marker, doctor, are a set of markers which so that it will elucidate for the physician to arrive at a right, precise diagnosis?
I was just working on markers for COVID, and I realized that in the laboratories, they can only detect 3 markers.
Okay.
So one of the markers they detect, of course, is IL-6. And there is TNF alpha. And there is only one more cytokine, interleukin, that they can detect. They have no other method to detect any other marker.
Right, sir.
And what would be best for us would be IL-10.
Oh.
And I don't think they have the methodology for IL-10.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
There is one question from the audience about lichen planus.
Yes.
which is an, I think, probably an autoimmune disorder of skin.
Yeah.
And doctor name is not there, only mobile number is coming. Very useful. I hope this drug will be useful for lichen planus also.
Yeah, all autoimmune diseases, this product is useful because the mechanism, the way the pathophysiology is, it all remains the same. Whether it's a skin issue or whether it is the arthritis issue or is a vascular issue, when the etiology is autoimmunity, then it will always be beneficial.
Dr. Saraswati is thanking you.
Thank you, Dr. Sir.
And Dr. Laila Asogan, I was seeing Dr. Laila Asogan here. Dr. Asogan was the IMA General Secretary and Dr. Laila is his wife. So any questions, Dr. Laila, from here? Whether Dr. Laila is available here? A very renowned gynecologist from Dooms. This is, what is that? Punalur in Kerala. And her husband is Dr. Ashokan, who was the IMA General Secretary. He was here for a time being.
Okay.
I think she has left now. Dr. Laila, are you there?
No, sir. No, sir.
She has left. Okay. So any other questions, please?
I think the questions are less, sir.
Our Sanghavi, no.
Sanghavi, ma'am.
Sanghavi madam is there. Madam Irkingla.
No, sir. Just now she left.
Just now. Okay. Then I think Dr. Hajira. Is there any questions, madam?
Ajira, Dr. Kavita is there.
Dr. Kalpana, madam, is there any questions?
Dr. Ajira is there, sir.
Hajira is there. Dr. Shobha is there. Dr. Sunita, madam, any questions, madam? I think then if there are no questions, Dr. Kavita, if there are no questions, then I think probably vote of thanks by Nimai and then we can conclude.
Autoimmune science will be Mr. Suresh Muruganan is giving, sir.
Okay.
Suresh ji.
Anyway, you can carry on with your this thing. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, doctor. On behalf of MMC, I would like to thank our honorable speaker, Dr. R.K. Sanghavi, and also our moderator, Dr. Alvin Stanley Xavier, for conducting this beautiful webinar for this evening session. And hope so we will continue with more webinar to come on the interesting topic on autoimmune disorders, particularly on female. We thank all the audience who has taken part, and we thank all our MMC colleagues also who has taken part in this program. On behalf of MMC, we thank Dr. Sanghavi once again for presenting a wonderful presentation, particularly on AID with our hormone. So thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. I hope it was informative and all the best to everybody.
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Thank you, everybody.
Managers and team members, please stay back.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am coming.
Managers and team members, please stay back.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, doctor, you are audible.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question. There is a entity called as autoimmune progesterone dermatitis. So, would sir shed some light on treatment of a patient with this kind of a condition? Because there is one patient who's having this kind of a condition and is having infertility. Would this product be useful in this also? In this condition also? I'm sorry if we are running late. Hello?
Ma'am, I think the speaker has left. Can I know your place, madam, so that I'll ask the speaker to put you on con call and we'll answer the question. Hello?
Hello,
Ma'am, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, madam, but the speaker has just now left. Can I have your phone number, madam, so that I'll connect him immediately?
No, not a problem, sir. We can connect later also. That's all right.
No, from which place, ma'am?
Kerala only, Kanjangad.
Yeah, madam, I'll put my MR to meet you, and from there I'll make the person to call the doctor and give you that information, madam. Because just
It's all right. Oh, okay, sir.
Ma'am, if you can share your mail ID in the chat box, we will reach you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Please carry your mail ID, madam, so that we
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself, but I was not able to.
Yeah, it is fine, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we got your mail ID. We will reach you.
Yeah, okay, sir.
definitely we will reach you back, madam.
We can leave the meeting, no? Now?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. You can leave.
Yeah, ma'am, you can leave, madam. We will contact you, madam. Doctor, you got the question? No, we will send it to you.
Yeah. I got it. That autoimmune progesterone dermatitis.
Yes, ma'am.
Even I am hearing it now for the first time. I will also go through the literature and we will try to answer it. Yes. Okay, sir, I am also leaving.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, doctor.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I think Dr. Kavita is there. Dr. Kavita has raised the hand. Dr. Kavita raised the hand. Dr. Gayatri also raised the hand.
No, Dr. Gayatri, she has given a question which is new even to our Dr. Stanley, so we said we will get back to you.
Okay, Dr. Kavita has raised the hand.
We have unmuted her, sir, but
you can unmute everybody, Bharat. Now you can unmute everybody.
Okay, sir. Okay, dear team, you can unmute yourself. I have given the option.
I think then now we will close the meeting and we will now catch up tomorrow.
The doctors is releasing them.
Sure. Now I am leaving the meeting. Okay.
Syed sir is not there, sir.
Yes, Srikanth and myself there. Anil, I just check out, sir.
Ask him to log in back now.
Okay, sir. I'll come make a call. Yes, sir.
Vishnu, there.
Sir, I am here only.
Dr.
Yes, sir, I am here only.
No.
Hello.
Manigandan is there.
Yes, sir.
See, Madhu, Vijayawada 1, Vizag 2. Warangal Suman attended, Karinagar Venkatesh attended, Hyderabad Ramesh attended, has not attended, Akash has not attended. Why?
Sir, Mahesh having some student cough, so I told that not to join, sir.
Who has not joined?
Yes, sir. Half day work, sir. He went home, sir.
I'm asking who has not joined.
Sir,
Who has not joined?
only Mahesh, sir. Only Mahesh.
Why?
Dushnagar.
Why?
Yes, sir. He informed me, sir.
Inform me, that is very bad. I'll consider him as
Your voice is very slow, sir. Very low, your voice.
informed you is very bad. He has to attend.
Sir, his health is not okay, sir. That's why he's asking second.
Why you are not informed me? Why you are not informed Mr. Jagdish? Why you are not informed Bharat? Let us talk. What about Vijayawada team?
Vijayawada all attended, sir. But Anil left.
And what about Bhaskar, your team? The Bhaskar is there?
No, sir. Bhaskar sir is not there.
What about Bhanu Prasad is there?
Sir, Chennai நான் இருக்கேன் சார். இஸ்மாயில் இருக்கேன் சார். வடபழனி.
Ismail is there, I know. What about there?
దూరం జరుపు నేను పెడతా కదా
All ZTF can be only all ZTFs can leave, only managers stay. I said managers alone stay.
Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
sir. Bye, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hari Sugandhar is there. Only managers is not attended.
Sir, Nimi, sir.
1 minute, sir. At least you can leave your team out there. You can leave.
Sir. Okay, sir.
Please unmute everybody. Bharat, please unmute. Sayed, உங்க டீம்ல யார் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணல? Who has not attended? Srikanth.
Sir, Mahesh Dushnagar, sir.
Rishik Nagar, you have attended.
Not ready, sir.
Okay, that send a mail why he is not attended. Let me check. If it is genuine mail, I'll accept. Otherwise, we will consider him as leave only today. And ensure that all food packets are delivered to the doctor. You can leave Srikanth.
Yes, sir. Okay.
No issue.
Sir, good evening, sir. Solung, sir. Nimi, sir.
Attend யார் பண்ணல?
என்னோட மீட்டிங்லயா? யாரு? டாக்டருங்களா?
நான் டீம் மெம்பர்ஸ் தான் கேட்டேன்.
எல்லாரும் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணாங்க. மோகன் இருந்தாரு, நவீன் இருந்தாரு, சுப்பிரமணி, இஸ்மாயில் எல்லாரும் இருந்தாங்க.
Continue the food package to the doctors. No issue. Continue. Disconnect.
எஸ் சார். அந்த டாக்டர்கிட்ட பேசிட்டு இருந்த சரஸ்வதி மேடம் அவங்க கூப்பிட்டு கேட்டுட்டு இருந்தாங்க. சரி, அதனாலதான் நான் வெளியில போயிட்டு அவங்கள்ட்ட பேசிட்டேன்.
நீங்க டிஸ்கனெக்ட் பண்ணுங்க. விஷ்ணு உங்க டீம்ல யாரும் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணல? ஏன்பா அன்மியூட் பண்ண மாட்டீங்க? எங்க எல்லாம் மியூட்ல தான் வச்சிருக்காங்க.
ஹலோ சார்.
உங்க டீம்ல அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணாதது யாரு? அவங்க மியூட் பண்ணுங்க.
சார் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணாதது சந்தான குமாரும் ஒன்றும் சார் பக்தா டிராவலில் இருக்காங்கன்னாங்க. மீட்டிங் முடிச்சுட்டு போயிட்டு இருந்தாங்க சார்.
you just I have noted down the name. Sandana Kumar was there. Bhatta only has not attended.
சார் சென்னையில வந்து
Chennai note பண்ணியாச்சு Bhaskar. Whoever has not attended will be considered leave today. Venkat Ramanan will be treated as leave. Already he is on leave.
வெங்கட்ராமன் இல்ல சார்.
Arun கூட attend பண்ணல. Arun
இல்ல சார் அருண் எல்லாம் உள்ளதா சார் இருந்தாங்க.
Okay, continue. So ask, ensure all your food packets are delivered to the doctors. We will speak on Monday. Please cut the call. Ensure that it is food packets are delivered. Please take care. All the best. All the best. Carry on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.